Welcome back. I've been on a hiatus. It has been probably a week and a half and some change before since the last time we guys heard a podcast of the Limelight Highlight. Welcome back to the podcast that highlights all those positive things that people are doing and brings them into the limelight. As always, I'm your host, Jonathan Rosario, and today I'm actually with a special guest, one of my best friends in the world. Her name is Trixy Lora. And yes, that is her real name. Don't make fun of it. She's not a stripper. She is, however, a professional dancer. And I'm not talking about on the pole. I'm talking about in the studio. Like, she does competitions and stuff. So she's really good. Anyway, because I wanted to get this podcast out before the end of March, because it is Women's History Month still, I needed one more woman to basically finish up the podcast, and I'm doing it all the way in Japan, so it's really hard to find time to do this. But while everybody is getting some crazy Japan tattoos, my body is a temple. Me and Trixie here are not doing that. Instead, we are taking the time to record this podcast for once. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend Trixie.
Hi, everyone.
There you go. That's Trixie's voice.
This is Trixie's voice. Trixie, not the stripper.
Trixie, not the stripper. Yes. That'll probably be the title of this podcast. No, we won't do that. But Trixie, for the listeners who don't know who you are, give us a little background. What you do, who you are, how you know me, how we know each other, and what's been going on.
Cool. So my name is Trixy Lora. I work at a law firm as a case manager. I handle Social Security disability hearings for anybody at the hearing level. So if you've been denied and you have to go before a judge, I pretty much get all your evidence, prep you for your hearing, get you before the judge.
So for all you guys out there committing crimes,
not committing crimes, not a criminal story.
Not committing crimes, but you need
all
legal help.
Yes, if you have a disability and you are no longer able to work, whether it's mental or physical conditions, if they're both even better, we'll help you with your case. We don't charge you unless we win, which is a good thing.
Ooh, plus
we take care of everything. You don't have to do anything on your end. We'll handle everything from and to Social Security. You just have to make sure you go to all of your appointments and show up at the hearing.
Boom. So now that you guys know a little bit about Trixie, Trixie and I have known each other for how many years now?
Since 2006.
Damn, really?
Yeah, it's been a while.
I didn't even know it was that long. So
that's when I moved to Philly.
Safe to say, you guys, we know each other very well. And the reason I wanted you to be on the podcast is because not only specifically your occupation, because it doesn't really matter what your occupation is, more along those lines of just the fact that you're a woman in your occupation, in your field. The last podcast was me and Arlene, and we talked about a bunch of stuff that women face in the workforce versus the avenues they have to take to get to the higher rankings in their business, and where in the position that they want to be in versus the ones that men kind of usually hold, traditionally hold. So what are some of the hurdles that you see women still going through, maybe in your specific job field, but just in general that you see in today's society?
So in general, I've had a plethora of jobs, in different fields. A lot of the things, or a lot of the one common thing that I saw was that there weren't a lot of women in power in whatever company I was working for. So I would always see like a female assistant manager or vice president of a company, but never the president of the company, never the head honcho, as they say.
Why do you think that is?
There's still,
what in your opinion is why? Like, just like you said, you've seen all the women kind of just in that secondary step. Like they're not driving they're not at the driver's wheel.
They're not driving the car. They're giving the directions.
Pretty much. Why do you think, what in your opinion is causing those things?
In my opinion, this world that we live in is still very stuck in their ways. As it was in the past, men used to be the only ones who would work. The women would stay at home. Now it's like, okay, we'll allow the women to work, but they're still not better or even equal to us. We're still the breadwinners. Even if they have the same job we have, we still have to make more than them because that's how it's always been. So,
do you think a lot of that's changing now?
I do think a lot of that is changing. As I've moved, from job to job, I have seen improvements. But it's like you have to take it one step at a time, one day at a time. You definitely see, how do I put this? So, for example, using the film industry, like there was always, all the superhero movies were all about men, right? Now you have female superheroes. You have Wonder Woman, you have Captain Marvel. And that goes to show, like, those are one of the only movies the only two movies that I can think of that's like based on a woman being the actual
hero.
Not only hero, but just the main character. Because I feel like even in other movies where there are like female leads, they're still second to the man. Like any type of action movie, it's always there might be like a female agent, or if there's a strong female role, it's a lawyer. Never the head of the CIA or the FBI. It's little things like that. Like they'll put them in the movie and they'll have strong roles.
They're not the main focal point.
But they're not the main focal point.
Okay.
And it's like that in everything you see. So,
what are some improvements that you're seeing now? Besides, I know you said the whole women superheroes. You got Captain Marvel. What I do love about those movies is, even when there was traditionally women who were the main character of the movie, or even if it's an action movie or something like that, it was always driven by a man or driven by somebody who has to kind of give them the push, and usually it was a man. Yeah,
it was never that they had their own. It's something they were born with. There was always something that happened to them involving a man that caused them to become this way and to be, a better version of themselves. Right.
And I think Disney's doing a really good job because, no spoiler alerts for Captain Marvel, but there's no love story in Captain Marvel,
which is amazing,
which is super awesome,
because I feel like, going again back to the film industry, it's like, okay, we can put a female lead, but there has to be a love romantic aspect to it. Like nobody's going to want to watch a movie just about a female living her life. So that is pretty awesome.
How do you feel about double standards?
I hate them.
Right.
No, so I feel like it's changing. So more people are now speaking up, because before it kind of was like a taboo topic. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Everybody knew something was wrong. The wage gap, the double standard, but nobody wanted to say something about it because it's the way it's been for so long. The way from the dawn of time, to what we are now, ever since we were little, it's always been instilled in us that men can do certain things that women can't. It's just frowned upon. So now people are talking about it. People are more open to it. People are pushing back. And I think it's a wonderful thing. I think we're definitely going in the right direction. Slowly.
How do you feel about women? How do you feel about the double standard that women can actually get what they want in the sense of using their sex appeal or basically using the attributes that they were born with to, I don't want to say so much as just as an example, I guess, a poor example would be like seduce a man to get a job or to extort them. And in the sense of, not really the Me Too movement, but because of those movements and because of the big controversial things that have been going on in the media, a lot of people are extorting people. Like, okay, so perfect example, Johnny Depp. I don't know if you've heard what was going on, but his wife divorced him and wanted to take half of all his stuff, saying that he abused her and cheated on her. And like you said, traditionally, you're going to believe the woman because why would anybody lie about that? Turns out she was doing that exact thing to him. And he had a plethora of evidence against her and won his case, which is awesome. But it's double standards like that, and I'm not saying something that big a deal, but more like on the sense of the whole Cardi B thing going on. I could say maybe the biggest double standard you can see. People are making egregious comparisons to like Bill Cosby drugging people, but the matter of fact is you have a woman who was, and I don't know the whole story, I just know the gist of the story, which is she was drugging guys that she was going home with anyway and basically robbing them blind. And and I see excuses for her like, oh, she was doing what she got to do. And that's a huge double standard. And the whole reason I'm asking this is because for me, I believe that women and men on paper should be equal. Rights, I've said this before. Rights, the right to do whatever it is you want to do. If a man can do it, women and men should all have the right to do the exact same thing, no matter what it is.
Right. In
the sense of nature, we are not equal, and that's biology. I even say some other men aren't equal to other men. That's how it is. So in the whole reason I'm bringing this up is because I feel like society can't wrap their head around the fact that these certain double standards are never going to go away. You have women who are super 10 model, bad looking chicks who can be strippers and finesse their way to the point where they don't ever have to work a day in their life because they married some old creepy man. And a man can't do that.
Right.
That's a double standard. I guess, maybe.
Yeah. But so I see where you're coming from. And I think, again, it goes back down to that's how it's been since the dawn of time. It's been instilled in us since we were kids. Use what you have to get what you want. Mm-hmm. So we were told, as we were kids, the only way to get a man's attention is to do this. The only thing that you're good for is to do this, because the man's job is to work. Your job is to take care of him and to, take care of the household. So in moving forward and, trying to step in, and again, I'm not making excuses for anyone or saying, one is better than the other. Not
to cut you off, but you know what I absolutely can't stand? Because we're doing podcasts and because we're in the media and, everything we say is held to a certain standard or accountable. We're accountable to everything we say. We can't even say something without having to clarify what we're saying about 3 or 5 times. But go ahead.
Not to hurt anyone's feelings, or just in case you misunderstood what I said, this is exactly what I meant.
Not to trigger you.
Yeah, not to trigger you. And it's sad that we have to do that, because we live you and I live in this country where, you have the freedom of speech. But do you really have the freedom of speech when you try to give your opinion and you get attacked for thinking what you think and believing what you